Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is Mr. Dogboat333, and welcome back to Suzerain, Chapter 3, Part 8. We're getting pretty far along. Let's go ahead and pull up what we did in that last little video. Pretend the opening of the H3 highway. Removed military conscription. We worked a lot in healthcare and more infrastructure, education, and we got some constitutional changes set up. So we're in a pretty interesting position. I believe world ignores the Buddhist plight. Election man shot after burning Agnolian flag. Not preferable. Not nice at all. What do we have over here? More missionaries trying to recruit for the BFFs. And that's not as fun as it sounds. Oh, we got a call from Mr. Coronti. Was in my office looking through the agenda of the upcoming meeting at the Ministry of Economy. The meeting was going to be about the ownership of the Big Four, the four large companies: Sorlin, Heart of Sorlin, Burgess Steel, Solar State Company, and Nadam Mining Group. Some of these companies were controlled in part or entirely by the state. The others were mostly or completely privatized. I had the power to change that. The phone rang. I put the agenda down. Pick up the phone. Greetings, Mr. President. It's been a while, hasn't it? Let me try to remember. When was the last time we had a chat? Oh, I remember. It was in Conrad when you refused my gracious offer. Why'd you call me? You probably know why I'm calling. It's because of the upcoming ownership meeting. But before we move on to that, I can't help but mention your tax hike, Mr. President. The increased tax made a substantial dent in HOS's net profits, as they're the backbone of a Sword's economy. But I assure you, it's nothing we can't endure. Well, good. Pause for a few seconds. Out of goodwill, I will share a key piece of information. The Lothbrok Group has contingency plans if you decide to do anything rash that will disrupt their empires. Can't blame them, can you? Imagine someone trying to take your authority and personal wealth away without your consent. I'll have to do what I decided. It's a tough world. Please don't take what I'm about to say as a threat. If you're not careful about what happens next, it may cost you dearly. Nobody wants that. If everyone plays their card right, it will all be fine. Now, let's talk about those cards. Since the start of your campaign, you wisely commit to a market economy. Judging by that, I'm sure you're looking into privatizing some companies that are currently state-owned. Believe, therefore, that privatizing both Nagam's Mining Corp Group and the Solar State Corporation would be in both of our interests. After all, I'm considering buying stocks in both companies. I'm not thinking about privatization. What do you mean? You will leave everything the same then? Don't tell me you're thinking about nationalization. Yes, I am. Mr. President, nationalization as a concept goes against everything my father built and stood for. If you go down this road, I must insist that you exclude HOS from any such plan. That's my most important request. Think of your corporate allies as sea ravenous sharks around you. Could you coexist peacefully, or... let's not even imagine that scenario. Imagine this scenario. You will either help me out or eat your little company for dinner. Understood? As long as you do as I say and exclude my little company, I will gladly help you. Always keep my end of the bargain, Mr. President. Don't forget. You better keep yours. Before we end the call, there's actually one more thing I'd like to discuss. I will be blunt. Mr. Tusk is unfit to be the spokesperson of the Lothbrok Group. His archaic thinking has only preserved a status quo that benefits himself and precious few others. It's high time something changed. I see where this is going. I want him gone. It's time to get the group at a proper leader. Me. Here's what I propose. A win-win situation. If you promise me majority of shares from privatization, he would lose considerable power. Which means I could take over. If I take over Europe, I will be forever indebted to you and support you in all your goals, be they re-election or something more. How's that sound? I'll have to think about it. Just think about it. That's all I'm asking. Well then, I've taken up enough of your time today. This has been a productive call. Thank you for your time, Mr. President. Goodbye, Mr. Coronti. After a couple minutes, I went back to reviewing the agenda. Well, Coronti wants to topple Tusk. We also threatened, I'm probably not going to privatize anything. I might actually nationalize a little bit, but I wanted to fuck with him a little bit. Glade wants to meet with me. Lucian scheduled some time with me to discuss potential political repercussions of the upcoming economy meeting. He arrived on time as usual and took his seat right across from me. Good morning, Mr. President. Lucian had dark circles below his eyes. The plethora of political developments must have been weighing even on a workaholic like him. Look tired. You get enough sleep? I'm trying to, sir. Well, don't push yourself too much. I'll try not to. I must say, you don't look much better. Look at myself in a small hand mirror. Small circles went beneath my eyes as well. I booked some of your time to pre-plan for today's meeting as Minister of Economy. We need to be cautious. Any grand plans about the economy also heavily influence our political standing. We should be changing our relationship with the old guard, the oligarchs, and the opposition. As you know, this meeting will give you an opportunity to alter the ownership of the Big Four, the largest corporation in all Swordland. We can start the process of nationalization and privatization, or we can just keep the status quo. Again, I remind you that any change would tip an already fragile balance. Personally, I think we should stay out of this and keep things as they are. There's no need to make new political enemies at this stage in our term. But ultimately, the decision is yours. What are you leaning towards? How should we move forward? Shit, I should probably pull up the guide my buddy sent me. I've usually kept the status quo, and that's worked decently well for me, but... I don't think it matters too much. I will nationalize these companies a little bit. He's just fully privatized. I have to ask, why? What's your intention? I meant to select privatize. I got confused by him. Hold up. Oh, well, that's a new series that's going up today. It should already be up, actually. What can I say? It's, technical difficulties. Will not be able to load from earlier save, make your decisions carefully, or else you have to do this shit. So, if you ever make a little oopsie daisy, in my experience, this is a pretty good way to unoops that daisy. Let's see. If you suffer because of rain, yeah, I'm sorry. Alright, let's skip back forward. We'll privatize the companies. Privatization will help bring the country out of recession. That may certainly be true, but taking everything out of state hands may have dire repercussions in a country like ours. We need to tread carefully. One thing to remember is that you've been transparent about promoting a market economy. Privatization will not cost us much support. Received a report from the Ministry of Economy that may impact your decision. Unfortunately, we missed our government budget targets for the current quarter. Plan to change ownership of foreign assets could help us generate much needed resources to further improve economic development before the next election. It's just something to consider, as in our relationship with the oligarchs. We need to remember that they only care about their own profits. Unfortunately, we're on good terms with them. The situation has been obstructing some of our efforts with the economic recovery. However, we implement a privatization plan, they would surely be delighted. Still, we need to make sure that we don't go overboard with it. If we do, we might lose our base, both in the USP and among the people. Well, if we privatize only part of their companies, perhaps we can get out of this unscratched. That would certainly be a wise compromise. Some of my connections indicate there seems to be a contest for leadership in the Lotharbrook group. Looks like Marcel Coronti is making moves to become the key figure. Coronti probably wants his father's seat as the head of group, and Tusk doesn't want to let go of it. Significant power struggle, considering these two are head of Swordland's two largest private companies. If we ever privatize our state-owned companies with sort of state corporation and dam mining group, it could result in the balance tipping to one side. They'd fight over buying up shares and cause chaos. Since you already made a decision to privatize, you need to be decisive in your follow-up actions. Did Marcel or Tusk contact you? I received a call from Marcel. What did he ask for? He wanted to make a deal to leave HOS untouched. And then? I threatened him with nationalization in return for his support. It worked. Well done. I hope he will keep his word. Was that all he wanted? He also wanted me to give him the shares from privatization to lower Tusk's influence. As I expected. This internal conflict among the oligarchs puts us in an interesting position. Our relationship with Tusk hasn't been good so far. Any move we make now has to be calculated and thought through. Very well then, it's almost time. I'll inform us all of your decision and we'll make the necessary preparations to formulate a plan. Let's get back to work now. See you at the next meeting. Thank you for your time, sir. Lucian got up from his chair and left the office. I actually haven't done this really before, so I'm curious to see what happens. Vogslin is messing around with Magnolia's navy. That's not the best. We also have illegal border crossings. Social occasion joint drills at El Lori Base, Air Base, not bad. And then tensions rising in the Marquian Sea. So we have corruption tackled, apparently. That's nice to see. Ownership changes in major corporations. Lucian arrived at the Ministry of Economy. Assistants took our coats and showed us into the meeting room where Simon, Edith, Gus, and Mikhail were waiting. As soon as I entered, their chatter stopped and they stood up. After a few pleasantries, everyone but Simon took their seats. He opened his briefcase, produced a folder, and proceeded to go over some of the documents. Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Ministry of Economy. Without further ado, we are, of course, here today to discuss the economic shift towards privatization. Mikhail and Edith exchanged smiles. Mr. President, before you arrived, Mikhail and Edith were expressing their delight at your decision to go down this path. Wonderful news, I say. I'm glad we're staying firmly on the path to the market economy. It's certainly the right decision. It will boost our economy by providing the government much-needed funds right now. We can then use these funds to increase development for the future. It's a win-win situation for sure. You're only saying this because you'll have a stake in it. Of course not. I'm saying this because all along I knew you'd make the right choice for Sutherland. It's because I trusted you. Simon and me and everyone else in the room 2 neat stacks of documents. Let's move on how we can go about implementing a privatization plan. Please turn to page 6. Turn to page 6. The title was Source State Corporation. As you can see on the document, the first company up for discussion is Source State Corporation. Source State Corporation, or SSC for short, has been around for half a century. Most recently, been handling a wide range of state construction projects. In their portfolio, they have government buildings, various infrastructure projects, state libraries, embassies, basically anything government-related. Privatizing a company like this would certainly increase the government's budget. That, of course, will result in loss of opportunities for us to provide for our citizens. The funds could also be used to boost our popularity, especially with the election coming. Not to mention the various other areas in which we should spend the money. However, there is one catch. The conservative majority in USP would not like this decision at all. For them, these state companies are part and parcel of Swedish identity. If we privatize these companies entirely and sell too many shares in them, it will have consequences for us in the Assembly. What if we sell a minority share of SSC? It would be better than nothing, but why stop there? Minority stake won't help our government as much. We need to be decisive. On the other hand, a minority share would create less friction. This would be my preference. I think I know what I want to do here. Very well. Please turn to page 26. The title was Ndam Mining Group. Ndam Mining Group. It's one of the largest mine corporations in Recopa, let alone Sutherland. They call themselves leaders of Lord and Coal. They certainly have enough evidence to back that up. Perhaps they're not as large as SSC, but we have a lot to gain if Ndam is privatized. I fully support privatization of this company to any extent. Certainly a good option to gain enough capital to end this recession once and for all. I have contacts in Ndam. It's one of the most valuable corporations of the last decade. I can vouch for that. I have personal experience with the company myself. It would be a great addition to any portfolio. What would the effects be if we fully privatize the group? It would be a very profitable sell. I know many people would kill to have a portion of that company. I do think it's a good option. We could simply fully privatize and dam along with SSC to bring in a large influx of money to the government. Mr. President, I hate to repeat myself, but fully privatizing one state-owned company, let alone two, will anger our conservative voter base. All the budgets of the world won't matter if you aren't re-elected. What are your thoughts on selling a minority share? Coupled with a minority share of SSC, that is the way to go. It would, however, be a lost opportunity. I think we should sell a majority share instead. Definitely not a bad idea at all. Well, what about that then? My preference is selling majority share of both SSC and the dam. Give us most value. I think we should go with this choice. This might still generate a backlash from the assembly and the general public. We should go for minority share instead. Well, I'm ready to make a decision. Sounds good. Let's go over documents once again then. I read all of Simon's documents once more and flip to the last page. Ooh. Companies listed below represent the two largest stake corporations which play a key role in several strategic industries. You can privatize them by selling minority stake, majority stake, or selling them entirely private interest. So via Source State Company Corporation, the main business units are planning and design, project development, equipment leasing, trade, and construction. We also have the Dam Mining Group, the largest stake-owned mining corporation in all of Eastern Maricopa. Extracts and harnesses the mineral wealth of the region and makes a valuable addition. The company primarily extracts coal, gold, and diamonds. They are gold's best friend, after all. I don't want to do anything too wild. We'll do, little sell-offs of all of them. Yeah. Some of the documents altering the ownership of the Big Four will flourish. Simon leaned back in his chair. So, this is the path we are taking. Thank you for reading my suggestions, sir. I want to thank you, Mr. President. The decision will revitalize our economy. Although I wish we could have proceeded with privatization in great capacity, it is a start. Certainly a step in the right direction. Partial privatization will still deal damage to our conservative voter base, but it's nothing we can't handle. I believe that this is about outcome we could have hoped for. I suspect that regardless, we lose support of some conservatives in the Assembly, but the gains we receive will offset the losses. Make sure those gains happen. As you wish. I will not leave any stones unturned. If you'll excuse me, I have to get worked immediately. There is much to be done. Lucian packed up his bag and started making his way to the entrance. That will be for today, then. I know everyone has very busy schedules. Thank you all for coming. Good work, everyone. Indeed. I put the documents in my suitcase and left room with Lucian. So we now have, flat budget. We're in the, is it black or green? Unified Education Language Bill. Let's see. Section 1 enforces that the education institutions will teach all classes except for foreign languages in the official language of the country unless they're given specific approval by the Ministry of Education. Universities, technical colleges, and other schools that provide language in any other class other than Swedish will receive a suspension of operations until they apply for approval process. Section 2 enforces the law through defunding penalties or total shutdown of schools. No. Privatization progress had begun. As unexpected, certainly the two most prominent oligarchs wanted to speak to me about it. Lucian showed Marcel, Coronti, and Walter Tuscan to the conference room. The two men sat across from the table from me, leaving an empty chair in between them. Good to see you, Mr. President. It's been a while. Here, take this, a gift. He brought out a bottle of Merlot Maroon, 30-year-old. I heard Peter say that's your favorite one. What do you want in return? Nothing. It's just a token of friendship, believe me. Marcel burst out laughing. Old man, you always think so small. You lack the vision to see the bigger picture. Marcel approached me and we shook hands. It's nice to see you, Mr. President. Here, a real gift. Took a set of car keys from his pocket and gave them to me. Come, take a look. I rolled out the window. On the road leading to the palace, I saw a glittering brand new Randall Orfini sports car, a car that only the richest of the rich in Sordling can afford. It's yours. I can't take this. Of course you can. It's a gift. Surely better than a bottle of whiskey. Little boy, do you think I can't do better? Me, Walter Tusk. Why are you two showering me with gifts? No reason. Really, no reason. I bet this has nothing to do with the recent privatizations. Anyway, gentlemen, please take your seat. They sat down. Lucian produced a set of documents from a briefcase. He put on his reading glasses. So, Mr. Tusk and Mr. Coronti, President Rain is about to sell his private shares in Switzerland's two largest national corporations. And now you're here, showering him with gifts. You're both clearly more skilled at business than you are at subterfuge. So tell us, why do you deserve claim these shares before they go on the general market? Mr. President, listen. You and I haven't been on the best of terms lately, but I want to nurture a profitable relationship between us where we both win. These shares are very important to me, believe me. If I had them, I could do so much more for Switzerland. So much more for you. You haven't seen what I and my connections are capable of. Do you want to get reelected? No problem. I will make sure of it. This is my offer to you. I will do whatever it takes to make you president for another term. Doesn't that sound great? If I win, I'll win on my own strength. Well, of course. Don't make light of me, Mr. President. I'm saying this precisely because I believe you are capable of doing it. That's why I want to help you. Before you spew those big words, make sure you can actually do it, Walter. Mr. President, first off, Mr. Tusk here is lying about the extent of his influence. True, he may have command over some people in the Assembly, but what he is sitting on top of right now was built on my father, Conrad Coronti. I want to be straightforward with you. Don't forget that I have something that gives me an edge over this man's archaic ways, a powerful tool. Control over the media. Public opinion means everything when it comes to elections, and guess what? These shares will increase my already considerable influence over newspapers, radio, and television. I can do so much more to sway the public in your favor. Power over the Assembly is nothing compared to power over the people. Basically guaranteed win. He can never hope to beat me on this offer. You little snake. He has a point. Media is a powerful tool, after all. Was the decision, Mr. President? Yeah, what's it gonna be? I'm sick of these shenanigans. You'll have to squabble over the shares when they enter the market, just like everyone else. Like how this voice was supposed to be more Trumpy. It's borderline Patrick Starry at this point, but it's okay. What? Haven't you heard a word of what I said? Yeah, can't you see how good of a deal I'm offering here? I believe the president has already told you the decision, Mr. Tusk, Mr. Coronti. We're terribly busy today, so we'd like to wish you a good day as well. I hope you know where the door is. If you don't, you can ask a security guard to show you out. This is not the end, President. You will hear from us again. The two men backed their belongings and left the meeting room. We're determined to end recession. Please launch special raids. It's not sizable portions. That's a little... Okay, constitutional changes. Sergei was driving me towards the Grand National Assembly for today's historic vote. It was a big day. I wondered whether my attempt at changing the Constitution would any differently than Alfonso's. I looked out the window as the noise of the city diminished and saw we were already inside the palace complex. The complex housed the buildings of all government branches in the center of whole sort. It was one of the biggest developments in Switzerland. The Maroon Palace stood on a small hilltop surrounded by trees. We passed the palace and entered the forest that separated it from the Grand National Assembly. We drove on a small road that wound through the forest. It was a warm day, so I rolled down the window. I could hear birds singing from the trees. You okay back there, sir? Jesus, that's English. It's supposed to be Brooklyn. You okay back there? Fuck. I'm stressed about today. I'm sure it's gonna work out fine, sir. Don't stress yourself. Sergei made a turn out of the forest and entered the vast garden of the assembly. Do you know that Mr. Tarkin's soul came to Holsworth this morning? I heard some politicians talking about it yesterday. Apparently, this is the first time he's come to the city in the last 5 years. I thought he left the mainland and lived on Dover Island and never returned back to politics, but they were saying he might be here to exercise his member of honor rights for the first time. Slow down, Sergei. Are you sure? Yes, sir. I overheard several men talking about it in the gardens of the assembly. It could just be rumors, of course. Do you Think he's here about today's vote? Yes, Sergei, most likely. Well, I'm sure he'll support you, sir. We'll learn soon enough. Sergei drove inside the gates of the parkway and we parked the car. We've arrived, sir. Thank you, Sergei. Before you go, I want to give you this. My father had this pocket watch, and he said it protected him from the evil of the world. I want you to have it. He opened his hand and showed me a very old-looking pocket watch. It looked like it was made during the century of revolutions. I took the good luck charm. Looked back at the watch. It was made in 1920. I put it in my front pocket and gave my thanks to Sergei. I opened the door. Good luck with the vote. I walked up the white stone stairs of Grand National Assembly. The entrance looked like a temple gate from the classical era. The door opened and revealed vast corridors of wood and white stone. I joined the crowd of people who were walking slowly towards the parliamentary hall. Suddenly, I noticed Lucian emerge from the crowd of packed politicians in front of me. He looked relieved when he saw me. Ah, sir. There you are. Have you seen Vice President Vector? He's nowhere to be found. I don't think you'll miss a vote this important. I hope you're right. At any rate, how about yourself? Are you finally ready to face the assembly, sir? As ready as I'll ever be, Lucian. I have full confidence in you, Mr. President. We followed the crowd into the parliamentary hall. As we were inside, Lucian and I separated to take our assigned seats. I went to mezzanine overlooking the hall and sat down. Waves of the MPs took their places inside the hall, one by one. After a while, I saw Gloria walk to her elevated seat at the center of the hall. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We will shortly begin with today's agenda of the USP's proposed changes to the Constitution of Switzerland. After a short while, everyone was in their seats. According to the current Constitution, constitutional amendments require a 2/3 majority in order to reach Assembly approval. If the vote succeeds, the proposal will be sent to the Supreme Court. The proposal in question includes these points. Start reading the proposal of the Assembly. First section is changes. Article 57 is modified with the following. Continue reading the proposal, highlighting each section. Section 2, paragraph 36. She went on. May not exercise his right to... And on. The justices of the Supreme Court. Most of the MPs seem like they were already falling asleep. A simple majority is considered. This was really hurting my back. Section 4, paragraph 44A. Felt like an attorney had passed. Finally, she finished reading the changes. I hereby invite all of you to vote. She stuck her gavel down. The loud bang made some MPs jump up in shock as they woke from their deep sleep. As I previously stated, will require a 2/3 majority in order to pass. You may now cast your votes. I felt the need to stand up and stretch. I looked down the hall from the platform I was seated on. Some assembly members immediately walked to the ballot box to cast votes. Most of them, however, began to congregate in groups around the hall, discussing the changes. Go down the hall with me. I descended from the mezzanine down to the hall. As soon as I reached the bottom of the stairs, Kazara Kibner approached me. Mr. President, how are you feeling about the vote? Very positive. Even though you don't have our support, how optimistic of you. I've lost all my respect for you, Mr. Rain. So many problems with Switzerland that must be addressed, and yet you insist on stalling us with your democratic reforms. I know you will fail. You'll lose the game, and so will your entire administration. I hope to be there when it happens. Keep hoping, Mr. Kibner. He laughed. He abruptly turned away from me and walked over to his seat. When I saw Lucian waving at me, he was only a group of people in the corner of the hall. I walked up to him. On the way, I bumped into Monsoon Leak. Mr. President, I'm sorry I didn't see you there. I wish you good luck with the vote. Respect your fight to abolish the member of honor position. At last, a chance to hold Tarkin Soul accountable for what he did to the Rouge people. You have my support. I'd like to see you support Bluish rights in the future. I hope you stand by us. Thank you for the nice words. You have my support, too. I hope you stand by your words, Mr. President. Anyway, I gotta go cast my vote. He shook my hand and walked away. I finally reached Lucian, but by now deep in conversation with another member of our party. Excused himself and turned to me. Sir, did you vote? We have to be quick. No, let's vote. I signed my vote and prepared the envelope. Together, Lucian and I walked to the center of the hall to cast our votes. He kept rushing me through the process. Gloria bowed her head slightly in my ear in respect as she saw us vote. Lucian pulled on my arm and whispered in my ear. Mr. President, we may have a problem. Tarkin Soul is here. I know. You have to accelerate the voting process. We need everyone to vote as soon as possible. What we We don't know what he's capable of right now, but if assembly members see him, he might influence them against the proposal. Should I talk to him? I would advise against that right now. The assembly must focus on the vote. Any confrontation between the two of you would draw their attention away. I walked up to Gloria and asked her to speed up the voting. She banged the gavel several times. The sounds echoed across the room. Ladies and gentlemen of the assembly, we will soon begin counting. Please cast your votes if you haven't already. The pace in the hall definitely increased. The groups dispersed and the MPs began lining up the ballot box. Suddenly, Lucian sighed. Sir, what do we do? He pointed back to the assembly near one of the exits. I followed his fingers to see Tarkin's soul sitting there. He looked much older than he had 5 years ago, but I could tell he had the same fire in him. Some MPs had already gathered around him and were chatting in awe. The assembly gradually went quiet as people started to notice Soul's presence in the hall. Should we do anything? We should refrain from giving him the spotlight he expects. Maybe he can dress him after the vote. As I was talking to Lucian, I spotted Kisaro Kibner walking to the back of the hall toward Tarkin's Soul. He bowed in front of Soul and gave him a military salute. Seeing this, more people started to approach him. Suddenly, Glory came behind us. Gentlemen, why don't you take your seats? Let's follow the procedure. Oh. By the way, we have 251 members today. As you can see, the member of honor is here. He's already cast his vote. Has he now? So, Miss Stoney, Mrs. Story, how many votes are missing? Only a few. Alvin, Clyde, even 3 other men approach us with envelopes in their hand. And these must be them. Good evening to you, gentlemen, Madam Speaker. Good day, Mr. Clavin. I'm sorry it takes so long, Mr. President. There was a friend who needed more clarification for his vote. He gestured to the men behind him. Let's get this over with, gentlemen. They went in and cast their votes. Let's win this, Mr. President. He walked to his seat with a fist in the air. Now, why don't you go back to your seats as well? Very well, we shall. We both went back to our seats. When I returned back to the mezzanine, I saw Peter in the chair next to mine. Did you cast your vote? Yes, of course. He looked at Gloria as she and her assistants counted the votes. The speaker's seat was only a few meters away from our platform. I really hope this proposal goes true. I hope so too. Let's see. He tried to get Gloria's attention by waving at her. How many votes left? Gloria looked at Peter. She looked annoyed. 136 eyes. 40 more to count. We need 30 out of the last 40. Damn. It's okay. There's hope. Come on. Peter looked uneasy. Peter pointed where friends with Richter was sitting. Good friends over there. I'm sure he was behind this mess. You should have trusted him. Peter, shut up. Well, a single bang from Gloria's gavel reverberated across the hall. Everyone fell silent. The vote has been concluded. Proposal has 167 ayes and 84 nays. Thereby, the Grand National Assembly has reached a 2/3 majority and accepted the change of the Constitution. The proposal will be presented to the Supreme Court shortly for the final vote and procedure. We simply roared with all kinds of different reactions. Yes! We did it! Hell yeah, we did! The MPs kept shouting in the hall. Among them, I heard Franz Richter's voice. I want to congratulate the members of the Assembly and the President for finally passing changes to the dusty old Constitution. I want to thank the members of USP for working for our party. I hereby invite the Supreme Court to do the right thing by not ignoring the decision of the Grand National Assembly that was elected by the Scottish people. That applause came from reformist seats. So I noticed Tarkin's soul slowly rising from the seat at the back. He seemed to be struggling and used his cane for help. He stood and gazed around the halls as all the members of the Grand National Assembly went silent. He kept watching him as he stared at the MPs. He walked out of the exit as 2 of his guards held the door for him. Thank God he didn't do anything. In any case, the proposal has passed the Assembly. Now we have to think about the Supreme Court. Let's enjoy this victory for now. Sure. Speaking of which, how about a celebratory drink? Yeah, let's do it. That's my man. He left the halls to grab a drink at the palace. We waited for Sergei by the entrance. So I think we needed, what, 166 or 167? I forget exactly. What I do know is we were very fucking close, but Yeah, by only 1 vote. One member abstained. Victor congratulates the president. New constitution passed to the assembly. Well, it was very close, but wow. Lucian, Peter, and I convened on the master balcony of the palace. It was nice to catch a breeze of the increasing summer heat. Both had grins on their faces, but Peter just got large. He kept recounting our success in the assembly. Fellas, the first obstacle's been cleared. Congratulations to all of us. Great job, gentlemen. Peter leaned on the balcony railing. What about Talking Sword? Did you see him again? As far as I know, he's still staying in Whole Sword, but hasn't cared to pay his respects to President Rain yet. What the hell was that about anyway? Him appearing out of nowhere. He came to the assembly to make a statement, but we still won the vote. I'm sorry that we failed to warn you would be attending, Mr. President. We should have been informed about his arrival. What Lucian said. We apologize. Learned from Sergei, how come my driver knows more than... No, it's all good. It's all good. Situation like this, I would have expected Carl to report it to me, but it's no excuse. We should have done our own research. What's done and done, let's not linger in the past. You're right, sir. We must plan ahead now. Yeah, we have the first hurdle cleared, but now we have the council of grumpy old men in our way. I have to say that's a fitting description for the court, but unfortunately for us, they are more than that. They're our largest obstacle yet. Also, you're forgetting about Miss Edmonds. They're not all grumpy old men. And Miss Morgana, she's technically a member too. Wait, did you just call Nia a grumpy old woman? He laughed. Lucian looked at him with a raised eyebrow. Anyway, about the court. Mrs. Morgan has been helping out with lobbying of our court. She's been speaking with Mrs. Emmons. I believe she's our key figure on the inside. Our lobbying efforts are continuing positively, but they have yet to yield concrete results. It'll ultimately be up to Miss Morgana and you to persuade with justices, sir. And we all have me inside the court. That's 1 vote out of 11. It's fine. We can do it together. I trust Nia. I'm not trying to be pessimistic, but Miss Morgana can't do this alone. Let's not forget about Mr. Hawker and his loyalists. We'll still need to reach out to the old guard and the moderates in order to reach 6 votes. It's going to be tough. Indeed. But then again, so was securing the assembly vote. If we cannot get Mrs. Edmonds centrist, we'll have no choice but reach out to the old guard. Hey, we wanted to vote comfortably. I'm sure that counts for something. There's at least some pressure on the court now. The court still sees us as a threat. They will not be persuaded so easily. We also only won by 1 vote, which is not comfortable by any mean. We never expected this to be easy. Nothing has changed. And that's true, sir. In any case, we should start with our best bet. I already asked Nia to arrange a meeting with Miss Edmonds. She's willing to speak with you. How about Heron Garachi? He refused to speak with us. He's refused to speak with you, Peter, but if the president can have a one-on-one meeting with him, I'm sure he'll open it. Lucian suddenly turned around and pointed at the side entrance to the balcony. Look who's coming. His friend's Richter. He slowly walked up with a smile on his face. Afternoon, gentlemen. How are you all doing? Afternoon, Mr. Richter. Busy as always, Mr. Richter. How about you? Same goes for me, Mr. President. There's busy days ahead, indeed. Especially after that mutual victory. We should thank you for your efforts, Mr. Richter. You were of tremendous success. Friends bowed his head slightly in respect. I'm looking forward to having many more cooperation between us, and victories. Wish you good luck with the Supreme Court. I've convened with Miss Morgana and Justice Zizek. We have at least 3 justices supporting the proposal. We must be unified if we want to break them. We must also be seen as united more than ever. Therefore, I'd like to propose an alliance for the next elections, and more in-depth collaboration throughout the rest of the current term. Usually says don't do this. I'm kind of tempted to, I'm not going to lie. Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Why not? Working with other people, that's democratic. So I was waiting for. We need a proper alliance. We certainly put pressure on the old guard. Such a grand coalition never happened in Sorlin before. We should show people that our parties can work together, that civility and cooperation is possible. We'll certainly have a great symbolic meeting, especially if we can change the Constitution. I'll reach out to you soon about it. We must start organizing and announce it as soon as possible. Friends reached down his pocket, fumbled with a handkerchief, and wiped the sweat of his forehead. Anyway, I'll leave you three to it. We should catch up soon. I'd rather get back inside now. The sun is getting intense. He walked back to the door and left the balcony. Well, that was interesting. So are we seriously joining forces with these guys, huh? I'm not sure how deep we'll dive in. For now, we'll cooperate. Gotcha. Coalition government, the reformers can mean a lot of things, but one thing is for sure. Once Mr. Richter enters the government, it will be hard to get him to leave. We should be careful, sir. I think it's time to conclude our little meeting, sir. Let's tap my shoulder. Olivia Suna joined us in the balcony. Pardon the interruption, gentlemen. Mr. President, David Whiskey is calling about the upcoming foreign policy meeting. Perfect time. Tell him we'll be right there. I will, sir. She turned to leave the balcony, then back to us. Congratulations on the victory, Mr. Rain. Peter? She looked Peter in the eyes as she said this, and ignored Lucian altogether. Peter's eyes followed her as she walked out. It's, getting pretty hot out here. Okay, let's call it finished. You may both go. Alright, gentlemen, see you later. They both left. Good work so far. We got an invitation to premiere. Richter congratulated us. A whistleblower from Rimburg Security Bureau has escaped to Sorlin by crossing the border and turned himself to the authorities in Astorg. Agent Chelston Hailstone has promised to reveal extremely sensitive information about the development of a weapons program. Can give him a refuge and risk antagonizing Rimburg or send him back. Let's grant him asylum. He's in a safe house near Antle. Currently being interrogated thoroughly to make sure all the information is correct. Invitation to a movie premiere. I've been invited to an exclusive premiere of Alfred Kubrick's new film, The Morning Shall Come. That wasn't much in the movie own mood. It would have been unpresidential not to obtain. With its massive budget and Kubrick's directorial cachet, this drama was set to be a milestone for Sorlin's burgeoning film scene. Personally, though, I was just looking forward to spend time with my family. It's very hot and sunny as Sergei drove us to the old capital. The film was to be screened in the historic Cinema Anglais de Lori, the very first cinema in Sorlin. I gazed at the vast plains between Holsford and Lori as we drove on the H1. Sergei maxed out the air condition to keep the Kadia comfortable. Frank fidgeted with his ties and stared at the window. What's wrong, Frank? Since when do you care about what's happening in my life? I'll support you whether you pass or fail those exams. What an honor, Your Highness. Frank, don't talk to your father that way. He's been working so hard for this country. I ignored him and turned to Deanna. Excited for the movie? Deanna nodded happily. What about you, Papa? You won something, right? You should smile. Keep doing your best even if you lose. That's my girl. Thanks a lot. You've been awfully quiet, Monica. I just wanted to focus on having a nice time at the movies. Monica folded her arms. We drove on in silence. Sergei rolled down the soundproof glass between us. So, we're about to enter Lori. We'll be at the cinema in a few minutes. Thank you, Sergei. Took a brief outside as Sergei rolled the soundproof glass up again. You could see the many towers of Our lorry rising up over what was left of the old city walls. In the distance, there were several planes flying towards the city. As I got closer, I saw they were military planes that looked like Arcadian designs. They're probably heading for the new joint military base. Sergei knocked on the glass and gestured forward. We're at the main square of our lorry in the historic Cinema Anglais, the Cinema of Angels. It was right in front of us. Is that the place? Yeah. It was an old Baroque-style corner building with walls that looked like marble from a distance. There were exquisite ornaments on each side of the window. Sergei pulled the card of the entrance of the building, which lit by vivid neon stripes in many colors. Come on, let's get out. Sergei opened the doors, and we exited onto the red carpet. We were just about to enter the building when a journalist managed to block the path. Mr. President! Mr. President! Constitution changes made it through the Assembly. How do you feel about the chances with Supreme Court? I trust the justices will make the right decision. Thank you, Mr. President. And were you aware that Tarkin Soul will be present at the proceedings? I refused to discuss Colonel Soul at the time. Before she could ask anything else, the guards ushered us inside the theater. The contrast with the cinema's Baroque style, exterior the inside was modern and sleek, with bare walls painted in black, red, and white. The film's cast and crew were already in the foyer, with champagne glasses in their hands. We approached the crowd and were welcomed by the producers and the event organizers. A man walked to us with quick steps. Madame, Mr. President, it's so good to see ya. She gently bowed to Monica and shook our hands. It's an honor to meet you, Mr. President. I'm Alfred Kiepuck. Nice to meet you, sir. My producers told me you express admiration for my work. Frank snorted. I glanced at him and instantly took a sip of his cola. It's very humbling to know you've been watching and enjoying my movies. If you don't mind me asking, which one was your favorite? This one might be slightly different than my previous works. I love The Swordist Dream. Oh, really? You might enjoy this one, too. I'll admit I didn't expect you to be such a cinephile. Frank looked me in the eye and struggled not to laugh. Why don't we take our seats? It's about to start. We entered the screening room, lights dim, and the film began. It was a period drama set in the 1870s about a soldier who pursues a doomed romance with a widowed British farmer during the conquest of Bergia. As credits rolled, I made an early exit to use a men's room. I was washing my hands when I heard an unmistakable voice behind me. So, what do I want to do to the voice? What voice do I want to do? So, what did you think? Tarkin Soul leaned on his cane. He had the same frail appearance I noticed at the assembly meeting, yet up close I could still sense the raw magnetism that kept him in power for 20 years. Found the plot questionable, but it certainly looked spectacular. Yourself? Sentimental peplum, for the enjoyment of housewives only. And for a period piece, the script contained far too many anachronisms. Totes. Just love that. That's a line you can add. I think that's funny as hell. What the hell were you doing in the assembly vote, Soul? My country was about to make a rash decision. I couldn't simply sit by. Your scheme didn't work. I won. Soul flicked me with a piercing stare, his back straightened. Perhaps my clout with the assembly isn't what it used to be, but you may yet encounter difficulties pushing your reforms through the Supreme Court. Your cronies can't help you now. I will not let you and that bleeding-heart idiot Richter tarnish my precious constitution. Richter's a better man than you ever were. Ha! Someone spit a lane on my cheek. I saw right through Richter in the 30s, and it hasn't changed a bit. That man will do and say anything to advance his own cause. Sounds familiar. I've known it since you opposed me all those years ago, you spineless, backstabbing weasel. History will show who's what, Colonel. I stormed past him out the door. Soul security staff and mine were now clustered outside the washroom, forming a buffer against the large crowd that had gathered. That's Tarkin Soul! I heard someone scream as guards closed around him and mine around me. By the time chaos subsided, I was back in guard of my family and Soul was long gone. Jesus, we still got a fair bit. Actually, it's getting late. I got an early-ish day tomorrow, so I'm actually going to end things a little early. I still got stuff to do, but I think this is a big part anyway, so it's a good place to just leave off. So, thanks always for watching. I think you guys know the deal by now. Like, dislike, do whatever you feel appropriate. Comment if you have anything to comment. Sub if you want to keep up to date with these uploads. Check the links in the description box below if you want to check those out. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. My name has been Mr. DB333. I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.